يا مصطفى كل شيء لله يا نورا من نور الله يا مصطفى.
أهلا وسهلا مرحبا بكم. الليلة ليلة 14 من 1447 هجري. It is the 14th evening of the 4th month in the year 1447 Hijri. Inshallah. It is moments in life that as we continue the journey of searching for the peace that the world is searching for cannot be found externally if it is not profound internally. Everything that is external, it is coming from within us, and that's why we project it in that module of a reality, a narrative. So the human universal conscious, she goes through her stages as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains and in detail in the Quran when it comes to the restoration and reformational stages of the planetarium metamorphosis of your conscious, of your growing patterns, of your upgrades. Then you have to go through a process of purging. Scarcity is necessary because it attracts your natural orders back into her natural places where it belonged, but you wouldn't have found it if you did not go through the metamorphosis. That's the quality of nature where she fixes herself, but she does it without you interfering because she has her one natural order. That's the world order that cannot be changed. No human can change it. It is embodied in the human metamorphosis and the human experience of this planet. This is a feminine planet. It's a mother planet. It's a matriarch planet. We are all come here on matriarch license because we come from mothers. We do not come from patriarchs. So that is why this disarray and the anxiety and the scarcity and the inflations has been so heavily impacted on the collective conscious. And that put you either in mongering states of emotion, and you are attracted to the similar element on the external, where you see death, you see wars, you see all sorts of things. But there's been wars all the time. Not a few years ago, Yemen, their own brother had invaded their space, also on similar terrorist claims. And it was not a 2-year war, it was more than 5 to 7 years on the most poorest nation of the world. That we don't realize what is their sufferings until today, because we don't feel, we choose to feel who we want to feel and when we want to feel. But that is not how the universe operates. Our people in Yemen is also human. There ain't been nothing less than what any other human being is. But when it comes to distractions, There's always an adversary that has a script to fulfill. That is how this dimension activates your experience. So, mashallah, tabarakallah, we are in times of life that your mothers and your fathers cannot tell you. The leaders are completely in a decomposed world of fictional truths that is appearing. That is the purge you are going through. You are going through the most radical changes that human existence had witnessed in one straight motion. She's not stopping. When she came in COVID, she's finishing her duty. She's fulfilling her purpose. It's just the wave that you are riding on is the wave that should give you your vision. That should enable you to understand where in the ocean, where in the sea are you since the shift came. These are times that you have to be quiet because there's lots of things being processed in your subconscious. And it is important to allow yourself to listen to what is happening. In silence, there is the answer. Silence is a language. As you evolve and you complete your 4 stages, then you can stand on the 5th. That's the 5th dimension of living through this metamorphosis when you come whole out on the outside. That's why you came. You came to find the way, the path, the exit. Okay? So at a given stage, when there is an end in sight, then there is reconciliation that takes place. And that is where you are given your different stages that you need to live up to as you go through this purging process. This is natural. It's here, been always here. Just we've been modeled in other lifestyles that influenced our bionic attractions, and screens. It's all screens in our reflections. So this changes that is coming, my dear sisters and brothers, mothers and fathers, it was necessary. It was something that either we had completely lost our sense of identity, or we would go and be foreigners in a house where we would never be rated first class. Okay. So the human mind is a very intelligent gadget. It's connected everywhere, subject to your level of perception. So when if you know what power you hold, then you can also live the life that you would know is in respect with the laws of nature and of the universe. That's natural because you're natural and the universe is natural, and the universe lives inside of us. Everything that we personify, it is from a reflection that comes within us. It's all built on energy and pixels and sound modulations. You might not grasp it as the sense of your elevation and expansion, but your children are coming in with it already because they do the cleaning up as they come in. That's there because they come pure. They come in very pure into this new dimension and phase of human evolution. So if you are locked up in dungeons and if you are caught up in cells, and then you must ask yourself the question, in whose house do you live? In which conscious reality are you participating, and are you supporting, and are you exchanging your sovereign rights for something which is fictional in terms of its temporal status? So the human minds in your children and the world's children are really changing the perspective of what the earthly journey is all about. And other than the material world that their parents concretized them into. They coming in as a spiritual being and in a human outfit. But they are spiritually having an experience and not physically, not captured in that lower end. That is the compensation that the universe, through the Divine Mother, has to reboot the new age. That is why there is lockdowns and shutdowns, because of the new incarnation of a new life for a many centuries of the universe. That is what the Quran came to explain to humanity. That is how the laws and what is unfolding is being updated internally. It's inside of us. It's not on the external. In this age that we are now being ushered in, it's a natural process. We are just taking different and what we call fiats, different currencies in at different times, but they all have to go as what they came. Each one will know, and this is why those who have awoken earlier would now excel in understanding the process and what are the solutions. And they offer that for the new generations, not for the old generations, because the old is at this ease. They live the old generation at this moment, pre-COVID. They live in dis-ease, in disease. And now a new stage is invoked into the heavens from the mother. And that is the Isa bin Maryam. That is the untouched child, because no one saw him, because he was raised. So when you rise in the age of what Isa is consciously in your presence, in your metamorphosis, in your programming, in your stage, whatever you want to call it, then you have to go through that process of bringing light again into the dark, making the blind see again, healing the sick inside of us. It's all about us. It's all about what you have to experience in those different formats of how you refine and reform and restore and transform. That's Hajj. That's the Hajj of the universe. That's the Hajj al-Akbar. Only the qualified people goes through that process because they see the opportunity. They are gifted by Allah all over the world, all over the nations. It's not where it's regulated by a certain community. It is by the order of the universe. It's not in human control, this transformation that we are all going through. Because that newly born baby that will know himself on Arafat is who you're supposed to be today. This is where you have been taken from a physical experience to a metaphysical experience. You had to live through it to understand that whatever you had gone through physically, you had to, in this last 7 years, find those allegories, those similarities, those jamarats that you had to try and demolish, because that is when Abraham comes. That is when the evil system and the monetary magic, money magic, and the blood magic, and all the different spells should pop up on Mina, because you were supposed to open your eyes on Mina, because that is where the war was. That is where you had to do the standoff. Are you going to pass Aqaba, Yaqub, Aqibay, and then proceed to your Medina? Okay? That was what the universe had in the previous age downloaded onto that civilization, so that they could get into the house, into their house, where they belong. Now this time, because it's digital, Your children, the universe looks into the future, not into preserving something that doesn't exist in the past. That's only in a capture in a certain civilization, but it's not necessarily yours because you have to find your own, and your own is only founded in your land where your ancestors are. They are where you will return to. You have to know them. There's no way you can be foreign to them. Otherwise, you are living a physical life, not a spiritual life. The spiritual life is eternal life. That's the season you and I are coming in a metamorphosis. That is the wal fajri wa layalin ashri wa shaf'i wal watr. It is all in conscious. It's not in the physical mode. It is, yani, everything you perceive is all inside. It's not outside. Everything that you are modeling, it is only the reflection on the wall, but the movie is playing inside of us. So human gets to understand itself much better from a completely different perspective, okay? Which is a reality, but you have to have sufficient knowledge and support to take that journey. That's the eternal journey. That's the journey that gives you the certainty, it breaks the doubt, and it compensates the fear with love. That's the journey you are all searching for. And you are all in this last 7 years of our life. Each of us had a scroll our children could see from day one since lockdown who were their parents or who were those who misled them in this dimension. But they saw it. It was an internal job, not external. Children don't say the truth, but they know the truth, guys. Until they see you do the truth, will they tell you. But they will not tell you that who you are until you leave. And then they will do what you did to your great-grandfather, thinking that he was never a good person. Okay? So all those past karmic generational modulations is now finally coming to a end where you can build what is primarily sovereign to your culture, to your inheritance, not physical inheritance. It is the experience, not the ownership. That is what brought the lost civilization of Fir'aun into disarray. It's because we made the physical the permanent, and we made the spiritual the unconscious world, the dead world. Okay, so the mind could no longer sustain such a programming. Hence, there was the shift in consciousness. We all wake up at different stages, but there's a lot of us that is now waking up in the world, not in the city, because we're not living anymore according to the boundaries where we were settled and educated. We're living above your head, outside of your head now, because you are going through a different upgraded experience of a reality as a collective. But there's always the dark and the light. There's always the day and the night. So that would give you your understanding. How are you going to face this new dawn? Are you going to coming from the right to the left, or from the left into the right? The anti-clockwise circumambulation. That is what is now coming into a reality of nature coming back to her nature self. That's what the human conscious is experiencing in this phase of the Naseem. Okay, the breeze. We're looking for the asa, the malaikas, the angels that represent an intelligent and data centers. Okay, if your antennas are active and your vibration has raised and your frequency, you are going to subscribe to new data sources, because you are getting data all the time from within. It's not from the outside. You just see the picture on the outside, but the data processing is internal. Okay. The human is returning to his natural intelligence. for him not to once again be manipulated and used, okay, and derailed from his nature, her nature, the planet's nature. This is a great opportunity in your life to understand the true essence of your nature as a human, just as a human, a pure human, to see the sophisticated and technology that Allah built inside of us, not outside. Everything that is outside is because it was inside. That's where the idea came from, and that's why you see it on the outside. But it is initiated internally. So the human new-born children of the earth, of this planet, they're going to come up with very dynamic solutions for where we were imprisoned. That's what they come in. The heavens give them that. The data sources, the malaikas, what we believe. But they get that reinforcements because it wasn't their crime. Why must they be punished for a crime that they did not commit? وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةُ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى. So there's a beautiful environment that is coming into play. A beautiful reality around, okay? Just, and importantly is, we cannot be biased any longer. Unfortunately, there is no way we can make fuss and flesh, man. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to make each one be his best self because it's his. If his body is in optimum form, then he's living in his ruh already. Then he's living in his inner self. He's living through his heart. He's living through his pure sources. Okay. That is the graduates that is coming out now as the Noor workers. They become now energy distributors for the soul tribes all over the world. That's the pure currency that is being returned to the indigenous children that knows their cultural sovereign orientation identities. That's the haq. The universe gives you that. That's your divine right. You must either not know the value of it, or either you have been living on that format as to what the ancestors had programmed it since before the world came. That is in your being. That is, each one has his own being. You have your own being. It's your nature. You can't lie to your nature and endorse something which is unnatural. You have to conform to the correspondence of nature. That's the nature of our planet and our sciences. Okay. Now, so this need for dialogue. This need for dialogue not as a matter of rallying up people. No, this is not about you forging a synthetic nature. It's about each one following and finding their nature. It's free. It's out here. It's inside of us. The kingdom is within. Those who are of that level of maturity, you have a very promising future for yourselves, for your generations to come, with the understanding that money will not exist. Okay. Ibrahim and the Corona came to show us how the money system was destroyed, but we can't come to terms with what happened. Okay. So everything was in front of our eyes, but we were distracted because of fear. That was the Abrahamic revolution. That was the migration and the patterns that was coming in, as per most of the ancient scrolls and scripts. And our Quran doesn't have a time because God cannot be placed in a time format. So his words can also not be confined to a certain timeline. It is when you grow conscious will you align to his frequencies, to his database and centers. That's how you operate in this realm that you are currently waking up into. You and I have no choice in the matter because it's being done while we are asleep. It's not done when we are awake. It's done when we are sleeping, and you will just be altered as you are going through the process. So every morning you're finding yourself shifted because you've been subconsciously, the heavens and the engineers and the psychologists and whoever is moduling truth is already planting the seeds. That's why it's bringing the shift. That is what is bringing more enlightenment into the universe. Okay? We're becoming human again. Alhamdulillah. We're becoming people with hearts before minds. The minds are being quietened so that we can listen to the whispers of our hearts. There is truth there. There is love there. There is peace there, and there is abundance there. If you find it secured within, you don't have to take insecurities out on the external. The securities outside is the reflections of the insecurities within. So your children are now the modulators of a reformist stage of their lives where they unplug out of that dogmatic, fanatical order and addictive systems, and now retrieving the natural blueprint of their DNA. That's the natural migration to the deed. That's what Allah meant when there comes a change in the order. Okay, the night and the day, the Ula and the Akhirah, the altered state of consciousness, which the heavens takes charge of. Because you don't control your thoughts. It is modeled from an external source. Okay? Your children are thinking like this, but you and I are just not having the conversation. Your address has no significance. It is your email that is going to be your new postbox and your next generation. So your question that you and I have to ask ourselves, what have we prepared for them? Whilst they're not going to stay in our houses any longer. They have migrated. COVID pushed us out and pushed them in. So they advance, but with a new narrative, not the decomposed thing when they saw how that civilization fell. They saw it. They were quiet. They listened. They were pure and they were shielded. So they got their scrolls and their chapter and their kitab to come and fulfill their purpose. That's how the universe works. It doesn't work on our programming. She has a natural program. And she takes care of her children. And she takes special care of those children that knows the true value of their mothers. That is a civilization that lives forever. Away, out of the reach of the dark. Because the mother is the source of light. Whose love was planted in her first. She is the love, queen planet. She's the queen of this planet. We can't deny that it's inside of us. We all come from that. Even Adam has to come from that because it's a mother planet. So when the real children that came from the wombs of the of this planet, of this earth, of this womb, returns their nature and they activate their blueprint, then they become the trusts of the cultural inheritance of that sovereign tribe. Okay? That's how the universe operates. Okay? Everything is working together. It's the only mishap in the entire system is the human being. He's the only nutcase in this because he's always thinking it's someone else. He never ever reconciles with himself. And that is where the conflict continuously is because amongst us there's harmony. But the moment we leave to places where we are bionically, we become oppositions. We are not where our feet are. We are where we are captured in our heads. Okay. So the trend that is coming in now is going to bring us back to our presence. We're going to come. We're not going to live in the future. We're not going to live in the past. We're not going to live in another country. We're going to be present. We were supposed to be in the first place. That's the natural fitrah of Allah. That is what Allah means with the fitrat Allah allati fatara an-nasa alayha. No man can tempt over that. Only those who know their value, only those who has preserved their qualities and their taste for life, for spirit. Okay, they are the people that will be given that, and those are the reasons why your forefathers had precisely did the work on a Sunday morning. They worked on their spirits. That's what they were doing to the children. They had their children ignite the spirit. Okay, whether they took it to the Samanvik or to the Mauluds, but it was energies that kept that soul still afloat. Now that was how they preserved that ruh till it is the time for it to come out. And you are as people, you still have that. Many of your good people, not the people on the forefront, the people that you cannot see outside, you will feel them inside before you can see them outside. That's the real people, the people you feel, not the people that you see. People that you see, today you see them, tomorrow you don't. But people you feel, you're always going to be with them, even if you don't see them. That's what the life for those who qualified to this new module of a reality, and it's going to come out now. Each one has to have a plan because we are coming out, and if you didn't build or submit any plans to build a house, a new age, and where you're coming out now, then it means you are going to be the stock, and your currency is going to be exchanged on the stock exchange. That's how the modulation is formatted in your vision, in your minds as human beings. It's not just about the religion. Your children and the next generations are not going to be in the religion as how we understood it. They're going to find a different mindset. They're going to find a different understanding of projecting the divine order, the divine tapestry. They're going to understand the mechanics because we gave them computers, we gave them settings, we gave them diagnostics. We activated so many brain cells inside of those children that they use that same lenses to do a diagnostic review of the past generation. And that is how they rate you as a outgoing civilization. That's the makaru wa makar Allah wallahu khairul makirin. That's the order of Allah's universe. And specifically when the mother comes home, this is where you and I are living in real time. You are getting a full-on injection of matriarch energy, and those values, those things that we did when we were young in this community, those things we ate and those things that we accustomed to, that is coming back into your midst because your great mothers are still doing it in the city. That is your anchors here. They keep it in line. So when it comes to these times, they are engines, they are generators in the city. They bring the light back because, as you all know, the dark is overwhelming in ignorance. Okay, so it's necessary. You as a community, you as a people, you as a common individual has the right to understand that you can also co-create your reality as to where Allah has placed your mother inside of you. You're only going to go back to your mother. Why do you want to go back to somebody else? Where your mother is where you knew the Nabi, where you knew Allah. So if she knows Allah, then she will take you back to Allah. Because she gave it to you when you were a child. You can't learn these things in books in this age. You must know what your mother opened up inside of you. Because she is the carrier of that key. She tells her child. Because she loves the child before the child comes here into this dimension. So she has a spiritual connection, a conscious connection, a technological connection, a network with that child. That's her property. That's her rights. That is where everything exists in her reality. And that is where Allah Ta'ala has given her the privilege of being the custodian of this planet. There's nothing more greater than this planet. Because Allah made it exactly as to how He would see a mother always having love for children. Always. That's how Allah designed this. And our great mothers from our town and cities and here in the Cape, here in the South, under whichever circumstances that they had endured, whether it be wars or whether it be declassifications and their own people breaking up because of financial status, yeah. And that is how those people that was left outside grew in these natural ways where they could still maintain their true identity. They are alive in our city. They are going to become Allah's great pioneers. People. Really, you must thank Allah for your parents. You must thank Allah for these people that is in the city. Die regte khalifas en die regte oumas en oupas, hulle was gewis genuine mense. If you still find genuine people in your lineage, then bring them into life. Speak about them. Tell your children about them, because that's how you put on the line. Okay. You have a lot to speak about, you have a lot to tell, and you have a lot to share, but it must be regulated so that it can always be preserved, not exchanged. Because what you have, your culture, you cannot say sell, you cannot exchange. You must hold it as a non-negotiable, non-exchangeable commodity. That is your secrets, your tribe's secrets from the heavens. You must how to keep that child in that format so that he knows how to get home. That's how they modeled you. Okay. So it's conversations time. It's time for hard and straight talk now. It's no longer time where you have to still consider someone else before yourself. It's not that time, because we live in a shifted reality. Okay? We are interacting, but we are not in a physical space. Right? So this is the conscious that is expanding, and us, as individuals, learning to know ourselves for who we are, so that we can identify with the Rabb. Okay? That's each one's sovereign right in earth. Nobody can take it out of his self. It is implanted inside of him. We just have to recognize it and activate it as mothers and parents, so that he finds his natural order and he goes his natural way. He's going to teach us more than what we think we understand of life, because he comes pure from source. Everything is natural, and he knows how to read his book. He is naturally operational between the age of 1 and 6. So, mashallah, people, there are always forces that tries to derail you in your path, which is natural. But don't make them your enemy if you didn't find the solution, because the solution is inside the problem. It's not outside the problem. We are blaming everybody else but ourselves. And this journey is only about yourself. You came alone, you will leave alone. And you always sleep alone. Whether you have a lot of people in your house, you're alone where you are when you close your eyes. So why are you so safe there? And you don't want to expand that reality of a new dawn. That is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He brings يُولِجُ اللَّيْلَ فِي النَّهَارِ وَيُولِجُ النَّهَارَ فِي اللَّيْلِ. The dark is coming out and the light is coming in. The night is leaving and the day. All only happening in your operational system of your higher selves. Right? So we can't stop it. We must actually, those of us who are there, may Allah give you strength and barakat for your next generations. Yeah? And it's necessary for those who have these common visions to bring their pocket to the mark. Must bring the pocket to the mark now, because Allah gave each one a passion. And that passion is what you actually come and fulfill in this realm, because you don't expect anything in return, but you get the Jannah as compensation. If you understand what Jannah means in this stage of your life, because you're searching for something which you only have the word, but you don't have the key. So where are you going to find the key? The keys are all inside of you. It's not outside. Nobody knows it better than you. But you just need to activate your inner self when you are clear, when you are confident and competent, right? So there's no stopping this process. There is a whole new world that is waiting, and only Allah is in charge. Whatever mindsets you had in the past, it is going to all evaporate. Allah is taking this planet by the hand, not us. Kasa. This thing is not in our hands. We just casting and giving a narrative as to how we're thinking what Allah is doing. We have to follow the narrative of the Quran here, because the Quran is not a past age, it's a present age. If you are in your spiritual conscious for the seasons, you have to get the guidance of the seasons that steers you through the storm. Okay. So those who had roots, those who found their laurels, okay, those who had life in their roots, when the storm came, okay, the tree could not be uprooted because her seeds and her roots were very strong in the sun. Those who survived that storm, they are like the survivors of the Titanic. They get the new island. They get to the shore because they had least baggage. Okay. The exams was always a spot exams. Just wanted to understand who was still awake and who could not see in the dark. That's the moral of the story. Okay, who is blind and deaf and dumb. Okay. So Allah doesn't sleep ever, people. We really made Allah cripple in this last 2 years. We killed the Allah that is the superior power, and we went and made him the most compromised creator of the universe. We really challenged Allah's powers. We really didn't give him the power to rule. We took it off from him, and we gave Shaitan a boxing. Okay, but in actual fact, we mostly hurted ourselves, because if you put the light off inside, then which God are you searching for on the outside? It cannot be the same God. It must be a God that was synthetic, bionic. So we have to ensure that the God we give our children are not going to be switched off when the battery goes off. Because then who's going to pay for the damages? That is supposed to be on every accountable social being, is to understand what is the repercussions. So what we makes us very happy and lucky in this side of the world, on this moments in life where we are consciously aware, is that your ancestors that you come from in this land, I can well imagine why the world was envious about it. I can well imagine why. Because what they had to kill it by our roots in order for this kind of world not to exist. Because it's one of the purest realities that your forefathers had forged in a world, in a earth that could be so simple, yet it could be overflowing with love and joy and simplicity. That was a unique order that they formed, a unique way of keeping keeping the price down, but yani, always keeping the doors open. Yes, the weddings, the khatate, the mauluds was always place for anyone, everyone and anyone. They could never say to someone no to not come into those places. It was open. And that's why they found their true identity where they could be themselves. So mashallah people, you have to sit and think in putting this out here so that the consultations can take into effect now. Because those who you only follow your script. This thing is about following. If you are honest, if you are of that caliber of Allah's people and the mu'minun, you follow your script. That's your true deen. Because only Allah will guide you. Nobody else can guide you. That's what each and every one of us need. But because we don't have silence, we couldn't find peace. In this last 7 years, the peace was the price, people. The more peace you had, the more you could learn, the more you could hear, the more you could feel, the more you could and find the people you need to feel at this stage of your life. Because jy kan nie dooie mense voel nie. Jy moet voel mense wat vir jou liefde gee en jy vir hulle liefde gee. Jy is liefde. That's where you don't die. But the moment you don't feel that people, it means you are living with ghosts or you are living with another species of a caliber of a civilization. Okay. So with these things that is happening now, it's the hijrah into the Medina of a new understanding of knowledge. This is not what we've learned in life. This is what we need to uncover within ourselves, because this is Allah's knowledge, not humans' knowledge. This is where you're going to find your surety, not get somebody else for you to memorize, to copy and paste. That's not you. You got to find yours. Now that's where you're going to be the best, because you can only be the best when you are yourself. Daarvoor ons maas het altyd gesê, ek wil nie jy moet die beste wees nie. Ek wil net hê jy moet try jou beste. Ek het net dit gegaan. And that was the beauty that they left that pattern in our eyes, because it's inside of us here. This is very expensive in earth. You don't find this kind of brain. It's an expensive brain of life. Yeah? And why it's expensive? Because you can't buy it with money. You gotta earn. And you gotta know how to value and discipline on those modules. Not religiously, culturally. Culture is your vehicle here. Because you come from a tribe, you are inevitable going to have to be a part of the tribe. Because your soul is tribal. It is where people come together, they feel themselves together. That's tribal. Not what they make you see somebody dancing, and then as a tribe. No. You have a very unique culture in this land. Mashallah. And it came from the most natural people that was uneducated, and in their terms. but most brilliant players on the conscious sea. Very brilliant, mashallah. In the numbering, they were good at numbers. They played the numbers. That's why they kept the dominoes in the culture. Okay, only have 7 numbers, and the blank is open. 6 and blank is 7. Okay, they kept on that. There was wisdom why these people did it. If you know your ancestors, you will be gifted the wisdom, because from where else are you going to get it? So if you don't know who your ancestors are, then how and what kind of wisdom are you going to get about yourself? You're going to have to fraudulently find a synthetic identity. Okay? Now, mashallah, you in your city here in Cape Town, may Allah bless you all. Daai members en hy deur is, Allah het vir hulle gegee baie barak, and well deserved in this earth, well deserved, because alle kere wat hulle ry van Menne moet geneem het, elke week en elke 2 weke, en het geword hulle liewe, dis die tyd wat hulle gaan, eerste staan in die lyn, die laaste gaan nou wees eerste. And if something comes down, something else goes up. It has to replace itself. This is a natural phenomenon. Because hulle was gehoorsaam, het hulle gepaas. That's the order of the universe. Okay. So yes, it is graduation time, but it's also lots of hard work. A lot of hard work now, because now the work starts. Now your purpose must be in search now. Okay, you and I all know our various pastures that you had planted, because it's spiritual. Remember, if you had asked for R1 trillion, don't expect it in physicality. Expect the universe is going to give you what she can. She will give you that which you ask for in her value tables, in her currency. Right? It's all on a rate, right? It's all that has a certain tariff. So, subject to your quality of your results, that is the rewards that you will receive. The universe does it. That's the auditing company. That's the auditing concern. While you're sleeping, okay? If you're luckily available when you're asleep and you have a dream, then you come and tell us about your dream, then you were alive in your dream, because why can you speak about it? Okay? So the more you refine in this process where everything is slowly putting the puzzles together for you, right? And there's a new vision of life coming in, through different formats of the sounds of the birds in the morning, the different insects that is now in. It's here in sound, people. If you don't pick the sound of, that's why they said Dawood was a Zabur. Okay, the Zabur is the sound, activation, right? That's everything is more sound, right? Now, even your dhikrs, your jikkers, don't change it to dhikrs. Go keep the jikkar. It's a very important word in your culture. Jikkar. Niemand het hy woord. It's classical. It is your inheritance. That's your possession. You use it. What do you do to your inheritance? You don't sell it. You apply it. When you use that words, then you are in your sovereign space. Okay. These are things that your forefathers were gifted. And because of cultural eruptions and invasions and influences, we tend to change, but not understanding what was the wisdom for them using these kind of vibrations. Okay? So these things, you have to inculcate it into your lifestyles that is coming into civilization, because your children, they're going to see it online. You have to project the life for them, which has these elements intertwined in the dialogue and in the exchange of what you're going to show them was your life all about. What culture are you going to share? In what side of the culture? Which tribe of the culture? You can only put them where the soul tribes knows how to bring them back, because some of us don't know what address to give our children. So may Allah open up this nahr, yani, may Allah open up this river where our mothers had and birthed us with Allah's qudra, so that we can return to our natural order and reunite with our true ancestors and our soul tribes and our and, great Khalifas. We have to put the Khalifa in this age first, because Adam was a Khalifa. Before there was anybody else, there was a Khalifa. There was no Prophet, there was only a Khalifa. Okay? That is the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you must really, as a community, must really honor your great parents. Stop making other people great. They feel diminished in this process without telling you. But they are human. Why make somebody else great when you can make your very own? And it will always be yours. You'll always be with it. Okay? That's what Allah is gifting those who appreciated their parents for real people. For real, not for skinnerpraatjies. For real. That's the reward you get for having appreciated that way. Really, on earth, Allah gives you that reward. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. So that rewards, this is for us as a soul tribe people. This is Yawmul Jaza for us. Allah's qudra. This is the time we'll be seeing the reward not in money. You can see it in the level of how Allah rewards you in changing your perspective of a reality, removing it and putting on a new lens of a dynamic and dimension of a reality. That's what Allah is gifting you. That's how you thought of Jannah, but it's just frequencies that channels you into that particular data center. Right. So people, you have yalayated, alhamdulillah. You have it with you. It is a tripartite hit. I found it here. I definitely can confirm that with Allah. I definitely found the right one. So, mashallah, as julle liggies in is, dan sal julle weet waarom julle by julle te vind. Because once you're in the house, then you'll know what is happening inside you. Okay? Once you're outside, that's the time when you're kept and in the dark. So, may Allah put on the lights. May the nur of the shahr of the month bring khair to your families, to your generations, your ancestors, most importantly. They give us the light. The light comes from them because they never put off the light. So, mashallah, you will be blessed in the season of Allah. This is blessings time for you. May Allah give you that peace. May you be the peace, noble peace. What do you call them? Recipients, laureates of the age, inshallah. And make lots of salawat on your ancestors, please. On your ancestors. Make it on your ancestors, please. You will understand life going forward and your next generation. To know who is your true relatives in the soul tribes. You will come to know of the stories that you lived and read all your life and thought that it could not be you. In soul, it might have been you. That's why you still remember. Okay? So may Allah Ta'ala grant barakat to our mothers, fathers on this evening, the 14th of Rabiul Thani. And may this tribe of Allah Ta'ala's children be successful in their endeavors to preserve the cultural authenticity of this people, of this land. MashaAllah. May Allah bless all of you. Sallallahu ala Muhammad. Shukran so much for your time. And may Allah bless you with nur and barakat. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا مصطفى